Hey guys, welcome back to Valareso Capital. On today's video, we're gonna go through the trade review. We're gonna go through a review of a recent trade that I made on the SPXS and also on the SQQQ. For this video, we're gonna cover very important aspects such as my entry point, my stop loss point, and of course the targets. And most importantly, we're gonna go through the psychology of the setups. So we're gonna go through the charts of the QQQ and through the charts of the SPY, and then we're gonna go through the reasoning of why actually executing the idea using the leverage inverse 3x ETFs. So welcome back to the channel, guys. If you haven't done that already, make sure to like and subscribe, and also follow me on my Twitter account at Valareso Capital. In that account, I share the setups on a real-time fashion, and if you are a follower, you probably already know that I took these trades because I did mention that on my Twitter account. So let's just jump quickly into the charts. We're first gonna go through the chart of the QQQ, and let me just grab my drawing tools here quickly. So here is the chart of the QQQ, and if you have been watching the channel lately, you know that I decided to start using the hourly charts. Well, I have used the hourly charts for a while now, but I decided to start showing you guys the hourly charts. There's a little bit more of analysis that goes through these charts. However, we tend to have way more information when we actually look at these levels, and once you start to understand the market structure price, then you are going to find a lot of value using the hourly charts. So once again, let's start here with the Qs, and let me just show you the first before we go into the charts. I just want to show you the trade that I made. That way you can take a quick picture of the trades. You can do the calculations and everything. So first, let's start here with this is the first trade that we're going to review, the trade in the SQQQ. I started that trade on February 27, and then I sold that trade today somewhere around 10 in the morning. And then we're going to go through the chart of the SQQ of the SPY, and I used the SPXS. I also opened that trade on February 27, and I also closed that trade today somewhere around 10 in the morning. So let's just go directly through the charts so we can understand what was the reasoning. So as you guys know, I opened the trades on February 27, and this was this day right here on the QQQ. Now let me just let's use the replay system. That way we can actually see what was the reasoning for the trade. So let's just start looking here at the QQQ, and of course you know that all the drawings are already in the charts, right? But let's also go through the psychology here. So let me just hit play here so that we can start looking at the price action. So you can see right here that the QQQ was trending, right? Let me just use the drawings here. You can see that the QQQ was trending above that daily 8 exponential moving average, and was also trending above this 21 exponential moving average. So we had basically the path of least resistance was to the upside. What actually made me take the decision to actually trade the QQQ bearishly, and that was actually price structure. So let's just go here and hit play back again. And you can see right here that we were finding a little bit of support somewhere around this 21 exponential moving average. We actually bounced, but this day is really important right here when we actually lost that 21 exponential moving average, making price coming all the way to that 200 hourly, or you can use the 30-day moving average. And you can see right here, let me pause it just for a little bit. You can see right here that when we lost that 21 exponential moving average, we also lost this very important level of support. When we lost that level, you can see that buyers tried to push the price above that, but sellers were more aggressive in the selling. So you can see that here, as soon as we get this wick in price, you can see the wick is basically that candle pattern. As soon as we get that wick, we know that there's a lot of sellers in the market, and of course we had basically an entire day where the market went down, and we came all the way into this 200 hourly moving average, which is also the 30-day moving average. You can see that we came all the way here. We actually bounced a little bit, so you can see that we bounced to that 21 exponential moving average again. At this point I haven't executed any trade, but you can see that right now the structure on the QQQ completely changed. So you can see that we tested this level back again. We tested that 21 exponential moving average on the 23rd, and we came back all the way to that 200 daily moving average. The 200 daily moving average is this blue moving average that I have right here in my charts. You can see that we came to that level to test that support, and we actually find a little bit of support. So here is the moment that the QQQ actually called my attention. So why the QQQ actually called my attention? It called my attention because now we're below the moving averages. Now the price gapped significantly below these key moving averages, and you can see that we came to this 200 daily moving average. So now the opportunity that I'm looking for is a reversion back to this 21 exponential moving average, and you can see that I also have the 21 as a horizontal line in my charts. So the opportunity is waiting for a reversion back to that 21 exponential moving average to take a trade, or at least to this 200 hourly moving average that we had on the charts. So let me just hit playback again, and you can see here that here we have the opportunity. Here, this is February 27, and I open my position right at the open. Why? Because we gap up into this very important level of resistance, which was that 200 hourly moving average that we had on the chart. So that's why I opened the position. First, because the structure was bearish, and second, because we got a little bit extended, but now we came back all the way to that resistance level at those very important moving averages. So remember that this is the 8 daily exponential moving average, this is the 21 daily exponential moving average, and this one you can use the 30 daily moving average, or you can use the 200 hourly MA. Those are pretty similar moving averages. I tend to use the 200 hourly. It just works a little bit better in my opinion, but they are very similar, so you can use them no problem. So here is the moment where I open my position, and then you can see right here we hit play again. You can see that we started moving a little bit down, and we were starting to find a little bit of support in this area. Remember the weeks that we had in price, and now you can see that we're coming back again into that 21 exponential moving average and 8. You can see that here, this is the moment that I open my position. We tested support, we bounced, but the important thing is that we make a lower high. The moment that we make a lower high, that increases the probability of this setup continue to move into the downside. And of course, my target was just looking for a retest of that 200 daily moving average in the QQQs. And that you can see right here that we basically got that today. We got a pretty strong move to the downside, and now we're getting a little bit of chop. But that was the trade. It was a very easy trade. And just to recap back again, I was just looking for a bearish opportunity on a bearish price structure, and I was using the moving averages as my most important entry price in the charts. And then we can jump really quickly here into the SQQQ, and here I actually have the executions right here in the chart, so you can see. So this one is right on February 27. This is when we got the gap up in the QQQ. You can see that we came right here. I opened my position that day. You can see right here I bought 245 shares of SQQQ at a price of 38.10, and then I was using this level as a very important level of support. You can see that we found support again at that level, and then of course we just continue to move to the upside, and then my target was at that level of resistance, which was the level of support at the QQQ. You can see here that I sold my entire position as soon as we got to that level. That's the way that I like to trade. I usually start building a position near support, and then I usually just sell the entire position as soon as we hit our targets. So that's basically the trade with the SQQQ. Now, what was actually the stop? The stop is actually pretty simple, right? As soon as I open my position here, I'm looking for the most closest level of support, and that level was right here. So I was using this low right here as my first stop, and then of course as soon as the price starts to move higher, I just continue to move my stop higher and higher until I'm already at break even, and then I'm just letting the trade just continue to work. So that's the way I do my risk management. I like to give the trade a a little bit of a space to breathe, but of course I want to make sure that we're not changing the structure, and that's why I'm using the next level of support as my stop in case that we break that level. So it's gonna be the trade for the QQQ. Let's just jump directly into the chart of the SPY. For this one, let's also use the replay system. So let me just go to the replay system as soon as we broke that 21 exponential moving average. And the moment that we see that we actually broke that 21 exponential moving average, we start to see that there was actually a higher probability that now this level is going to act as a level of resistance, changing the price structure and making the path of least resistance now to the downside. So that's actually pretty important. So let me just hit play here so you can actually see what was happening. And you can see here that price tried to reclaim the 21 exponential, got rejected below that 200 hourly moving average, and at some point you can see that we actually came all the way back down here to that 50 daily moving average. And of course price was very extended to the downside. So here's the moment that I actually took action. So this was on February 23rd, and I was waiting for another test of this level. You can see here that we had the gap down all the way to that 200 daily moving average. And here's the moment that I took action. So let me just replay here. Let me just pause it a little bit. So here, this is the moment that I actually took action on executing a bearish trade on the SPY. So the reason that I did that because we actually were gapping to this gap that we had open all the way from this gap down, right? So as soon as we rally all the way to this gap, I actually took that as an opportunity to open some bearish exposure in the SPY. The reason is because we have a pattern of lower highs and lower lows, meaning that the pattern is actually pretty bearish and the path of least resistance continued to be to the downside. So this was actually a pretty easy trade. I opened that position as soon as we were coming into that gap that we had opened, and then I was just looking for continuation to the downside. You can see right here that we started to get a little bit of continuation. We actually found a little bit of support in these levels. We started to bounce a little bit. You can see that we started to bounce, make a lower high, broke this level, and of course my target was those previous levels of support, and we actually met those levels. Right here, and that was actually the target that I was looking in the SPY. And if we just go through the position that I had on the SPXS, right here you can see the action that I took, the execution that I had on the SPXS. You can see that I bought 800 shares as soon as we gap down all the way into that support level. And then of course you can see here that I sold as soon as we got into that resistance level. So what was the management of the trade is very similar to the one in the QQQ. As soon as I opened my position here, I got some immediate feedback that the path of this resistance continued to be to the upside. So at the beginning I was using this low right here as my stop, so that way I can give my position a little bit of room to breathe in case it wants to take out these guys here and these guys here. But as soon as I started to get a little bit of feedback that I was right and this started to move to the upside, I raised my stop all the way up here, and of course at some point into that break even level, and then I was just letting my position right to the upside. So those were the trades that I took in the SPXS and also on the SQQQ. And of course, for any of you guys that follow my channel, you know that I do have some of my favorite indicators. Right here you can see that we already had a sell signal on the trend oscillator, and of course you can see right here that the squeeze was firing to the downside, increasing the probability of a continuation to the downside as well. And then of course if we go to the QQQ, we have a very similar scenario in which we also had the sell signal active. We have the squeeze pointing to the downside, which increases the probability that we were going to continue to see more downside in the charts. But the most important thing to understand is that the price structure was bearish and the path of least resistance was to the downside, giving us the opportunity to short any rallies into resistance. So that's the big takeaway from the video, guys, is to understand the price structure is very important, and if you use an hourly chart, then you're gonna be able to take advantage of those moments in time in your trading. So the gains around the gains for this trade were somewhere around $1,300. which is pretty good, right? It was just a 2-day trade, so it was a pretty good trade for the portfolio, and it was a pretty easy trade. That's the most important thing. It was a pretty easy trade. It was something really easy to identify, and it was actually a really easy trade to hold. So make sure to start incorporating this hourly chart into your patterns. That way you can understand and also execute your ideas using this system. Thank you so much guys for watching, and I will see you on future videos. Bye bye.